You're watching PowerNation.
Today on Engine Power, we are going to be working on a brand new platform we've never even had in the building before, and it's going to be awesome.
We're excited, and you should be excited. But to find out what it is, you're just going to have to watch and see.
Hey everyone, welcome to Engine Power. You know, we work on a lot of cool projects here, anything from mild to wild. Big blocks, small blocks, 6 cylinders, fuel injected, carbureted, turbocharged, nitrous, the list goes on. But every now and then, we have the opportunity to work on a brand new platform that is going to take the industry by storm. And it is going to power everything from full-blown race cars to street machines and cruisers. And it just so happens we have one with us today. So without further ado, I present to you
a brand new Ford Godzilla. We have finally gotten one, and if you are not familiar with what this engine is, it is Ford's gas replacement for their Super Duty trucks as a more cost-effective replacement for the diesel engines. So it is 7.3 liters or 445 cubic inches. It is 4.220 bore, 3.976 inch stroke. It has a 4.53 inch bore spacing. It is a cast iron block. But the reason this is so exciting is because Ford has not made a cam in block pushrod V8 for almost 25 years, and it's been about the same amount of time since they made an engine with this displacement either. So this, in the minds of a lot of people in the industry, is going to be the answer for replacing the LS swaps in Fords. And today, we have finally got our hand on one, and we are going to do some upgrades. But before we get to that kind of fun stuff, we do want to take it just how it is out of the vehicle and dyno it bone stock to see what it makes. So we're gonna get this thing off of this crazy crate, get it on a run stand, and get it into the dyno so that we can
make some hot water.
Heck yeah.
That's called horsepower. After splitting the engine and the 10R140 transmission, we can get it bolted onto a dyno cart with some Summit Racing Godzilla engine mounts.
So this is a new engine design for Ford, but they made it a little bit easy on the back end because it's based off the Coyote. So it's a Coyote style bell housing, and it uses a Coyote 8-bolt flywheel, same kind of trigger wheel, so it's a 58 tooth. So we have a Summit Racing billet steel flywheel that we're gonna put on here and hold it on with a set of Coyote ARP flywheel bolts. Okay, so our Godzilla is mounted on our dyno, but we need a way to actually run the engine, and the factory ECU and wiring harness would take a ton of work, so we need an aftermarket solution. And that is where Holley comes in, because Holley has been making aftermarket EFI systems for a bunch of engines for years. And with the Godzilla only being out for a few years, they have come out with a plug-and-play solution for Ford's 7.3 liter gas engine. It's based around the Terminator X Max ECU. This is a great swap ECU because it has a ton of capability if you're talking about naturally aspirated or supercharged, turbocharged, nitrous control. It has all of that. And it even has transmission control if you want to put a common aftermarket transmission behind it. Now, it comes with a plug-and-play harness for this engine, so most of the connections are already made for you. There's only a few simple wires that you have to hook up, and it has an OE quality finish. It comes with its own fuse box, so this is going to be really easy to install. It comes with the correct coil harness for the engine. It comes with the correct injector harness for the engine. It comes with coil drivers for the factory Godzilla 2-wire coils, and just like all the other Holley EFI systems, you can do all the setup and tuning with the included 3.5-inch handheld, or if you want to get deeper in the tune-up, get your own custom tune going, you can use Holley's free laptop software. And also, it does come with an included oxygen sensor that you can put in your exhaust pipe so it can self-learn. So this is a great kit. We're going to get it installed and hopefully be running this Godzilla here pretty soon. So, we are changing out the coils on our Godzilla, and you're probably wondering why. Well, we didn't know this until we got the engine, but this is a 2023 Godzilla. And what that means is Ford made some revisions, namely to the coil packs. They went from a 2-wire, not as smart coil, to a 3-wire smart coil design. And the Holley EFI is only designed to run the older 2-wire style, so we are gonna need to swap them out. But it's pretty hard to find Godzilla coils. But we actually got on the AutoZone Pro mobile app, and found a complete set of Duralast ignition coils for a 20 through 2022 F250 with a Super Duty gas engine. The great thing about Duralast is that when they engineer OE replacement parts, they make sure that they meet or exceed the OE specifications for function, form, and fit. So what that means is we are going to get a coil with at least the same spark energy, if not more spark energy, which is going to be great when we start adding power to our Godzilla later on. That also means they're going to fit just as well. They're going to bolt right into the same exact place, and they're going to have the same high quality connector as the stock ones, and they should plug right in. So we're going to go ahead and get these changed out, and we will be pretty close to dynoing this bad boy. Up next, we see what our Godzilla can do in its stock form and tear into this brand new power plant.
I'm sure any of this does.
The last thing we need to change on our Godzilla is the throttle body. And the reason we need to do that is because the 2023 Godzilla throttle body is actually one of the other changes they made. The Holley EFI is designed to run a 20 through 22 or a 20 through 22 GT500 throttle body, but we actually can't bolt it up because Ford changed the bolt pattern for the throttle body and they're not even close. So the solution we came up with is that you can actually bolt an LS2 style LS cable throttle body directly to the Godzilla manifold with a little bit of clearancing on this bolt hole here. So we're going to be putting on a Holley 95mm low taper LS throttle body, and this actually works pretty good because the Holley software can handle it, and if you're putting this in an older car, probably has a cable throttle already, so this will be even easier to swap in. Okay, so Godzilla running on the dyno, running great, running very smooth, which it's a basically stock engine, so that's good. And we're gonna turn this thing from 2,500 to 5,500 because the truck engine should be relatively low RPM. Hopefully we'll hit both peaks within that and see what she makes. Here we go.
Oh, that's smooth.
Yeah.
What are these rated for?
I think these are like 425 horse, 475 pound-feet.
Have no idea, but I can tell you that we have a bone stock engine making 502.9 horsepower and 564.6 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
And it runs like a Swiss watch. That Holley system works really, really nice on it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Nice job, Ford, for underrating your engine like a big dog.
I say now we just gotta do our upgrades and see what it picks up.
Let's get it off the pump.
Heck yeah. All right, we've got our Godzilla into the assembly/disassembly area, and that's exactly what we're gonna do next. We have a slew of upgrades for this thing, including a cam swap, spring swap, intake swap, some front drive accessory changing, and a new oil pan with oil conversion. So we gotta get it all disassembled, so we'll get everything off before we start putting in new parts. We'll start out by removing a lot of the components we won't be reusing, like the exhaust manifolds, plastic intake, and stock fuel rails. To get to the camshaft, we'll also remove the front accessory drive that's designed for the stock trucks. Drop the oil pan sealed with silicone, has dowels on your side, and pull the damper and timing cover from the engine. Ooh, look at all of that.
I'm not sure any of this does. After removing the oil pump drive chain, we can take off the valve covers and remove the rockers and push rods in the firing order and keep them organized for later. After testing a few, we did not trust the loose lifter trays to keep the lifters from falling into the cam tunnel, so we turned the engine over to keep the lifters raised up in their bores while we swapped the cam. The stock cam is gently slid out, and finally we can remove the oil pump contraption from the bottom of the engine.
All right, so that is as far as we're gonna tear down our Godzilla today. So we can start talking a little bit more about the upgrades we're gonna be doing. And in the power department, it's mainly gonna consist of a camshaft, spring, and intake swap from Edelbrock and Comp. So they've put together a really nice package, and we're excited to see what power gains we're going to be getting with it. For the camshaft, this is their Stage 3 hydraulic roller for the Godzilla engines. So the specs are a 237 at 50 on the intake, a 250 at 50 on the exhaust for duration. It is set on a 117-degree lobe separation angle, and lift at the valve with the stock rocker ratio is 671 thousandths on both the intake and the exhaust. So this is very well appropriately sized for a 445 cubic inch engine. But when we start upgrading camshafts with larger duration and larger lift on engines with variable valve timing, that's something we have to worry about in terms of piston to valve clearance. So Comp actually came out with two solutions to that, a phaser limiter kit and a phaser lockout kit. That is actually the option we're going to be using. As far as the spring package, they have come out with a drop-in spring package. This is a conical spring versus the stock beehive. It comes with the spacer/locator to go under the spring, the correct retainer, and the correct keepers. So we'll be putting those in later. Now, since we are upping the camshaft, we're going to be moving that power up higher in the RPM range. And to complement that, Edelbrock has come out with an XTS intake manifold for the Godzilla engines. This is great because it has a little bit more plenum volume, and it has a slightly shorter runner to match with the camshaft. And as a bonus, it uses a LS cable style throttle body, and it comes out at a straight angle, which is great for a swap engine. So the first thing we're going to do is get the camshaft in. That way we don't have to worry about our lifters anymore, and then we'll start working on our other upgrades.
Coming up, we finished making our Godzilla the perfect Ford swap engine.
To lock out the Godzilla's variable valve time phaser, we will start by installing this retaining bolt that keeps the trigger wheel from rotating during the process. Then we compress the spring, insert the Comp locking tool, and remove the bolt that holds tension on the spring. The other three countersunk bolts can be pulled out and the cover plate removed to get access to the phaser. The wedge block drops inside, and we tighten the internal pipe plug to hold the phaser in place. Then the cover goes back on, and the entire process can be reversed for reassembly. And our phaser is locked.
The stock timing set is reinstalled, and we can torque the torque to yield cam bolt following Ford's specifications. To change the springs with the heads on the engine, we fill the cylinders with pressurized air one at a time and use this bolt-down hand compressor to remove the stock beehive springs. We set up each of the new springs individually for 135 pounds of seat pressure and 465 pounds of open, and then we install them with the same tool.
Even though we can't adjust it, we will degree the cam to find its intake centerline for accurate data on valve timing events, and it lands at 111.5 degrees.
The new cam required slightly different length push rods for proper lifter preload. So we got these Trick Flow 3/8 diameter 8350 long push rods from Summit Racing. The stock rockers are reinstalled at TDC compression stroke in the firing order and torqued down to 25 pound-feet. The new springs receive a hefty amount of Comp valve train spray lube for lubrication on startup, and the stock valve covers are bolted back down.
All right, with all of our valve train fully installed, the next thing we're going to do is actually start sealing it up and make this engine a little bit better of a swap engine, because that's kind of the whole idea here. And Holley has been well known for their mid and high mount accessory drives for LS and Gen 3 Hemi engines. Well, they have created a similar kit for the Godzilla. So we have one of their complete accessory drive systems along with the oiling conversion. So this comes with their own design timing cover with a cartridge style water pump, a modern version of a power steering pump, alternator, and AC compressor. It all came in black, which is one of our favorite colors for engines. And as far as the oiling conversion, what they've actually done is gotten rid of the chain drive shaft driven oil pump with the weird pressure relief on the side of the engine. It actually has a more conventional style crank-driven oil pump, kind of like what you would see with an LS with an easily accessible pressure relief valve. So this is a little better because there's less parts to fail and it's more durable in a high-performance application.
Holley has gone the extra mile to put in the engineering so this can be used in any application you want it for. Circle track, drag racing, autocross, street stuff, doesn't matter. We even went ahead and got the extra baffle for the drag race application, and also a windage tray for great oil control. Now, it's great looking sitting here on the table, but it's going to look better on the engine.
The new oil pump drive gear and oil pump can be slid on, and then the O-ring sealed timing cover is torqued into place. We'll start the oil pump mounting bolts by hand, leaving them loose for now, and then use this included Ford seal driver to press in the front seal. All right, so before we can tighten up our oil pump mounting bolts, we need to install the damper, and for this application, we're actually going to be upgrading to an aftermarket Fluidampr viscous style harmonic damper. And the reason we're doing this is that the OE damper is a rubber or elastomer style damper, and it's really designed for a truck engine, so relatively low power and low RPM. Well, this engine is not that anymore. We are drastically changing the power output and the RPM range of this engine, so we need an aftermarket damper that's going to be able to hold up to that. And that's the benefit of a viscous style damper, is it is much better at tuning a wider range of harmonic frequencies that can damage your crankshaft, bearings, and other components inside the engine. As a bonus, it doesn't need to be serviced like an elastomer style damper because there's no rubber or O-rings that dry out, crack, or erode over time. As long as the fluid is still inside the damper, it is functioning properly. Now, Fluidampr has done a great job of precision machining this as far as the pulley depth, the pulley spacing, and it is precision honed for the correct interference fit on the crankshafts. Now, this damper has been third-party tested by the SFI Foundation, so it is SFI approved. If for some reason we were to take this engine racing, we are set up and ready to go. So we're going to use our special adapter, get this thing installed, and keep on moving.
Once the damper is installed, the oil pump mounting bolts can be torqued down. The alternator, power steering, and AC compressor can be bolted up before the tensioner and pulley covers finish it out. A thick bead of silicone seals the fully assembled swap oil pan, just like the factory, and our new intake is the last piece to go on before this Godzilla hits the dyno.
Up next, our new and improved Godzilla hits the dyno and cranks out some serious pump gas numbers.
In today's Summit Tech Tip, we're going to discuss something you've seen us put on a lot but never really discussed the differences between the two, and that is throttle bodies. Cable-driven throttle body versus drive-by-wire. Leading off, we'll talk about throttle bodies that are cable-driven. Now, this is as simple as it gets. It is literally an air valve that has a bell crank that opens up a butterfly to let air in. Now, it needs a couple things to operate for the ECU. One being a throttle position sensor, and the other an idle air control motor. Now, the advantage of these are they're very simple. They have a cable that hooks to them very much like the throttle linkage would be on a carburetor, and it just hooks to it and actuates it. On the more high-tech side is the drive-by-wire throttle body. Yes, there is wires hooked to it, but they don't actually actuate the throttle like a cable would. It is electronically controlled through the ECU. The advantage to this is there's no crazy things that you have to do to hook it up. It is just wires run to it, so you don't have to have some sort of creative linkage. Both of these are great systems, and if you have a question on what would be right for your application, you can contact the experts at Summit Racing, and they'll hook you up.
All right, the last bit of performance and swap parts we needed for our Godzilla we actually got from Apocalypse Performance. They have pretty much every performance part available for the Godzilla right now, and a bunch of stuff for other applications as well. So they hooked us up with a set of 1 7/8 inch primary stainless works headers with a 3-inch collector. These are actually for a Fox body swap, but they fit our dyno perfectly. A set of Billet Pro Shop billet fuel rails, so we can put AN connections on both sides, and a set of fuel injector development 720 cc per minute injectors, because the stock 35 pound-per-hour injectors that Ford put in, we were pretty much going to be maxing them out on this application with our upgrades, and these give us plenty of room for more upgrades in the future, or if we want to run like E85 or something like that, we have plenty of injector for it. So we'll get these popped in and then hit the key.
The Godzilla is on the dyno. It fired right up. We're going to make a run from 35 to 65 at 300 a second, and we're going to see what it looks like, and then we're going to have to do some tuning from there, because I think this engine's got a lot of potential, and I think it's going to do well.
Yeah, the big thing is we haven't actually done one of these before. Not a lot of people have, right. So we're starting relatively conservatively, and then we'll just go from there and do some work to it. So
let's let her buck.
Yeah.
See what we're starting with here. Nice load in.
Yeah.
Ooh,
pretty good. Wow.
I guess we'll start there.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
553 and 524 pound-feet.
Solid oil pressure all the way across. AFRs looked right where they're supposed to be, so
You know what that means?
start putting timing in.
Time to do some tweaking.
Yeah. We'll make several runs, incrementally increasing timing and then leaning out the air-fuel mixture until the power gains level off. We landed at 27.5 degrees of total timing and a ramp from 12.8 to 13.0 to 1 target air-fuel ratio for our final run. When do you ever get to beat on a brand new engine that you've modified?
Well, it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2. Smooth.
Yeah.
Definitely helped.
Oh,
definitely
man.
Definitely helped.
Look at that!
610. 610.
Oh my gosh.
There's no way. 610. Picked up a little torque.
Yeah.
567.4.
Wow. Okay,
right.
so just for reference, let's overlay that with the stock Godzilla, because
if you're overlaying that with
that'd be the big, change there.
there you go.
Wow. Torque is very similar. It just shifted it up, take the power, and just runs all the way out to 6,500. So that's awesome.
And listen to that thing. Smooth as butter.
That's man, I really want to put this in something now.
I tell you what, but for right now, great success.
Heck yeah. For more high-power engine builds like this one, you can find engine power on PowerNation.